It is unbelievably easier than ever to get ahead of other people. You can easily do it. You can easily get ahead of your peers and win more in life. And I'm going to tell you how in this video. I want to clarify that when I say getting ahead in life, I don't mean in that workaholic and toxic competitiveness that a lot of other self-development creators might discuss. What I mean is that it's simply truly very easy, and here's why. In line with the hundreds, if not thousands, of productivity and self-development creators out there, there are also thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tips and videos available to every single person in the world who has access to the internet. But do all those millions of viewers of this content have the success they want? Do all of these millions of views on a single Ali Abdaal video translate to being as successful as he is? When there are millions of views on a fitness video, do you think those millions of people are that fit and have those shredded abs? The answer is no. Because, ironically, with this availability of information and tips and hacks, quote unquote, at your fingertips, people are consuming that content as a substitute for action. When they view these tips, they psychologically put themselves in the shoes of that person following them, and they feel so motivated and feel like that's their sense of accomplishment. Thus, with this kind of mindset, they no longer have the intent of acting using what they just learned. What does that mean for you? Well, that's great news because you barely have to try. You don't even have to try very hard to get ahead of people because the vast majority are not even trying. All you have to do is increase your conversion rate. See, if you're here, that's already a sign that you're ahead of many people because many people will not be watching this video. So if you think of a funnel of all the people in the world, there's a certain percentage that are going to watch this video or even care about self-development content. Then within that group of people who will watch these videos, there's an even smaller percentage who will act. And guess what? Then there's an even smaller percentage of people who will act and try consistently. Consistency doesn't mean 100% of the time. I want to clarify that. That's something that a lot of people miss, and that makes them fall off. When I am consistent in converting advice, that means I'm doing it most of the time. I'm giving myself grace and cheering myself on, giving myself encouragement like I discussed in other videos on this channel. While it's easier than ever to learn how to be productive, to learn how to get abs, and to learn how to be a millionaire business owner, it's actually easier than ever for you to be the percentage that actually does those things because you simply have to convert. Even converting a little bit to start will get you ahead. So what is conversion rate? It's like this. You get 1,000 tips. Well, let's just say you get one tip. Conversion rate means the percentage that you are converting that into your reality. So you hear this tip, if you do it even once, 100% conversion rate for that one day. And that's probably ahead of the majority of people who also receive that exact same tip. Then perhaps you have 5 tips. Well, you convert 4 of those. There, your conversion rate will be 80%, 4 out of 5. Even better, you can convert all 5 of them, conversion rate of 100%. We receive so much information that we're not converting into results because we're not even converting the actions people tell us to take into actions. We feel like we already did it, and thus we waste time listening instead of using the mindset of acting. You need to have both. In the yin-yang of mindset and action being in a self-perpetuating cycle, you need to have both to make it work. If you have the right mindset that you are ready to take action and that you want what's best for yourself in your life, it's going to make you find it easier to take action. Then when you take a good action, you feel really proud of yourself. And that's true satisfaction, such that you will have a better mindset and thus take that great action again and again. That's why when people become successful, or when you see a successful person, it just seems like they keep getting more and more successful. Like in my case, it's surprising when people say, wow, you're like good at everything. Personally, I think I'm mediocre at everything and not really good at one thing. But what I have consistently throughout everything I pursue is the hard work and ability and desire to convert. I will convert my effort into some form of results, such that even though I played basketball for multiple years, and I'm not naturally good at it, but I work so hard and I listen to advice and my coach's tips such that I'll convert that into greater improvements. When I play tennis, I also listen to my coach and I'll convert that. When I pursue creating YouTube videos, I'll watch YouTube videos advice and I will take notes and be so diligent. In Chinese, that means 认真. I'm a very 认真 person, which means that I take it seriously. When I come in to consume content, I take it seriously. It's not just a game. It's not just entertainment for me to view and feel good about myself after, because that's a waste of time. I'd rather be watching real entertaining videos, you know? This conversion rate is an extremely important concept that I think barely anyone thinks about. So many people consume and are at a conversion rate of 0. So even if you convert 1 out of 100 tips you heard, you're still greater than a 0% conversion rate. I'll give you a fun example of the kind of attitude that trickles down into all areas of your life as you grow older. So even from a young age, this has paid off, because in my elementary school classroom, on the walls, there are quotes, very inspirational quotes. And while in class, sometimes if we have downtime, I would just be staring at the quotes and reading them. The other kids in my class had the exact same quotes, right? They're in the same classroom as me. They would probably read it too. There is a certain percentage of students who might glance at the walls. Then there's a smaller percentage who would read it. Then there's a smaller percentage who would internalize it. An even smaller percentage going down the funnel would put it into practice and remember it, make it part of their identity, their values. I remember multiple quotes from that elementary school classroom because I would read it every day and be like, that's my reminder. I'm converting that into my reality. One of them is, I can't remember the exact same words, right? But that's the point. The concept is what you need to remember and convert. It's not the exact same words. One of them is, it doesn't matter how far ahead you are on the train track. If you sit there, you will get run over, which means like, no matter how far ahead you already think you are or how well you're already doing, if you stop and become complacent, you are going to get run over. People are going to surpass you. And that just really encourages me to always be looking at progress, because as we grow older, we're not only gaining years of maturity and experience, but we're gaining years of lessons too, such that with every year, you're mentally growing. You're growing stronger and wiser. And that's real growth at the end of the day. That's why you'll see some adults being not very mature. Like when I was a kid, I would see those 20-year-olds and be like, wow, they're so adulty. Weird word. That's not a word. But now being at this age, I realize that age doesn't mean everything. It's about how much you care about growing and converting what you actually learned in the past to drive you further. Another quote I remember is, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." This might be a common quote that some people have heard through different avenues, but I just remember distinctly that I would see this quote all the time. And because I saw that so early and I kept thinking of it and living by it, that is something that I'm still living by to this day. And it still helps me. That's why I will take chances, because how would you know you fail if you didn't even try? I'd hate to live with the idea of not knowing what my life could be like. I'd rather remember that I failed at something, but at least I tried. With all this information out in the world, this is actually why gatekeeping is not a real thing. There's this trend going on where people might put in their videos, including myself sometimes, in the thumbnail or title, "No gatekeeping." Yes, thank you for not gatekeeping. But the reason why I'm so willing to give all my success, quote unquote, secrets out into the world is because they're not necessarily hacks. You, as the viewer, still have to put in the work to use those tips and pieces of advice. By sharing the things that made me successful, that's not gonna give me so much more competition, because they still have to put in the work. And I am aware that the vast majority of people who get my advice may not even convert it. So there's no need for me to try and hide, There is no substitute for hard work. If people gatekeep, their advice probably wasn't that amazing to begin with, because I believe with my experience that the best and successful people think win-win, that we all bring each other up. If I have a friend and I have this great opportunity that I can share, or I learned something amazing about this clothing sale, for example, I can share it because I have an abundance mindset. I believe that we can get farther together. That's also the attitude we have at Caltech. Caltech is a really, really extremely rigorous college experience, probably one of the toughest in the world. But it was enjoyable, and we were able to succeed together as students because we helped each other. It was like we are on this team together against the academics of the school. At Caltech, we collaborate. When my friend was sick and she couldn't work on a problem set, I happily took time out of my busy schedule to walk her through the solutions of our chemical engineering problem sets. Because I don't lose anything by giving. I'm bringing all of us together, and that same friend a few months later helped me when I had a tough situation. So if you have a friend who's always competitive and trying to hide their hacks from you, then maybe they don't actually have anything that special. They're actually insecure that, oh my gosh, they might be thinking, actually, I don't have the hard work ethic or enough dedication such that if I give away this hack, you're going to be on the same level as me. No, like in my case, I have the confidence that, sure, you can take my tip for how to get abs, how I got abs, because if you want abs, you'll still have to put in the work, just like I did. If you want to become valedictorian, you can listen to my tips all you want, but you still have to put in the work. When I was in high school, if I told my classmates, oh, this is how I study, this is how I blah, 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 that's fine, because if they do use those study tips, apply them, and rise the ranks, perhaps being in more competition with me, well, they put in that work. That's something still to be admired, to be acknowledged. There will be cases where you don't want to share everything, but I'm saying in the vast majority of the time. I always have to address that because I feel like there are always nuances in these types of discussions. Stop believing in the word hack. I know it's an extremely alluring word. In fact, the reason I put it in my video title sometimes, including the word secret, is because that's how we attract more people to that video. That's how we attract the people who need that information. It's alluring because it sounds like, oh, if I have this hack, then all my problems will be solved. That's a magic wand that, boom, everything will be 10 times easier. But it's not, is it? After you use that productivity hack, it's not. Because when you have the mindset that it was supposed to be easy after you have that hack, you're not going to be willing to put in the work necessary to convert that tip day after day. It has to be of your own desire to use that hack, but know that it's not a substitute for putting in the work. I just came back from a workout class, so I'm drinking my boba flavor protein boba. My boba flavor protein, my milk tea flavor protein. With hard work and using your own smart brain to think about how you can do things better, you barely need hacks. Because with hard work, you can still get to the finish line. Hacks can make you get to the finish line faster or easier perhaps, but only make a minimal difference at the end of the day. However, hacks alone cannot get you to the finish line. You still have to be running, right? So another example is how people complain about the ACT and SAT all the time, saying that it gives an advantage to the rich kids. Okay, I agree. Rich kids, they might have more time to study. They might have more time to take practice tests. They might have better tutors. They might have a better foundation. Okay, I agree. But guess what? When they take that test, they still have to study that hard, and they still have to be able to take that test and have the same level of academic readiness that that college wants. In fact, research shows that a tutor's impact on a student's SAT or ACT score is minimal. On average, having a tutor only results in a 0 to 50 point increase on the SAT. So think about it, even if you drop thousands of dollars on a hack, that's still not a replacement for hard work. You can't force feed a student, they have to want it. So even proactive students without a tutor can perform just as well, if not better, than those with a tutor. And that proactive student is guaranteed to perform better than the kid with a tutor but who isn't driven and won't practice on their own. I've experienced this firsthand with the kids I tutor. I can try my best in the weekly hour sessions, but my work is almost useless if the student doesn't care. After a parent paid me a lot of money to tutor their student, but the kid wasn't doing their homework and not putting in the effort on her end, the parent told me, "You can lead a horse to water, but can't make him drink." But rich kids can also have college consultants write their essays. They can have their parents pay for $1,000 trips to third world countries where they can say they did community service. They can have their parents pay for research papers and quote-unquote patents. So actually, the ACT, SAT is standardized for a reason. For kids who are perhaps less privileged, we can also put in the hard work and show our abilities. Like for me, I didn't spend a dime on preparation. I use purely free resources out there available to everyone, but I converted that into something I could use, and I saved my parents money. I've read several stories of poor kids who said that they couldn't pay for violin lessons. They can't pay for certain activities that colleges may look at. But what they can do is study and work hard. There's no substitution for studying and work hard, and we need to value that more as a society. But since the society does not currently collectively value that, that's why it's so easy for you to get ahead, right? You just gotta have your values straight and know that there's no substitute for grinding. Grinding kind of has this negative connotation as like you're always working 24/7, but that's just not the case. For me, I have a great sleep schedule. I'm so healthy. I go to the gym almost every day. I read, I relax. And my joy is doing things that are good for me. My joy is converting my time into things that benefit me. So that's why it seems like I'm grinding all the time, because people assume that if you're successful or you achieve some things, that means you're grinding all the time. And that's so hard. So I wouldn't want that. But actually, have you even tried to grind a little bit and see how far that can get you? Maybe without trying that hard, without working that hard, you can still achieve way more success. But people don't even take that first step because they assume it's so hard. Or I'd rather have hacks on YouTube. Barely anyone thinks for themselves anymore. You can see a ton of groupthink now in the world. Everyone is a follower, physically and literally. Oh, I mean, physically and figuratively. Like, you see so many consumers on social media. They're following people who they assume to be more knowledgeable than them. But all it takes is to stand out and be that small percentage that tries to think for themselves, that tries to live their own life and learn from their experiences. That's how you find the most effective methods for your personalized self as well. While some tips online might be helpful, they're not always universal or applicable to everyone. So instead of complaining and being like, hey, do you have a tip specifically for my disorder that XYZ? I had a personal disorder too, so that's why I give that example. That person who you ask that question to doesn't have your same situation. So you are the most informed person to give yourself advice, to try this thing, attempt it, and then convert that into a lesson where you can do better and better. Focus on the conversion rate because that will make you more efficient. Efficiency means that you're trying to reduce the amount of input while maximizing the output. It's crazy how so many people have this funnel flipped. It's like they put so much input in and have the tiniest output. Barely any output, if any. Efficiency in your daily life comes when you are doing something, and in the action and motion of how you're doing it, you think, what is the most effective way to do this? Sometimes that might come from tips or advice online because it's helpful to learn from other people who did the same thing. But at the end of the day, you still have to be doing that action and converting it consistently. I want to end with this game changer thing you can convert literally right now. It will transform your life. And the funny thing is, you probably already know what it is, which shows that you were not converting the advice about this thing I'm about to tell you. And that is reducing your scrolling. When you don't even let your brain work at its full capability, and when you forfeit your greatest asset, what use are all the other tips out there? Not to mention, you're also wasting time. You're also flushing your precious time, your most precious resource, down the toilet, when this precious time could have been used to work harder, or honestly not even work hard, but all you have to do is take that time you would spend scrolling and even slowly work on something that's good for you. It could even be reading a book leisurely. It doesn't even have to be real quote unquote work. People hate the word work nowadays, but I just mean do something that's good for you. That's the one thing I really hope you start converting. Start converting that and let me know the dramatic transformation, the impact it makes on your life. I had to switch my camera and microphone because my phone ran out of storage. Always an issue for me when I'm starting to record these longer videos now. I just want to let you know that it's the mindset, the intent of wanting to put yourself first, of knowing that you have this one life and that it's so valuable that if everyone knows that we should do something, then you're going to be the one that does it. When I downloaded TikTok back during COVID, I looked on it for a few seconds and I was like, this is pointless. I don't even care if I have the opportunity to make it into an algorithm I somewhat like. This is pointless. I'm seeing strangers on my phone, and I never got into scrolling. I never ever got into scrolling on shorts, reels, TikTok, because I knew that it was not a good use of time. And I knew that everyone was saying you can get addicted. And I was like, why would I want to get addicted to something that I know is bad for me? Why would I willingly put myself there? So many peers might download TikTok just to see what's going on. After resisting it for so long, they gave in and saw what was going on, and they end up getting addicted and waste a lot of their time on that. And I don't want to say this like, oh, I'm better in any way. I never say anything intending that. I just want to give an example that I think the kind of mindset you have is so important. That I'm someone who, from a young age, I understood the importance of our one life, that we have this potential. Every single person has this great potential, and it's up to us to convert that into something. That you don't have a limit until you try and reach that limit. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this. I love these deeper, interesting discussions. And for anyone wondering, my lips are like this because I have eczema. I had eczema when I was in the first year of my life, and somehow it has come back. So brilliant. But I think that putting information out there that I was so passionate about after my workout class is just more important than my appearance. So that's why my lips look like a clown's lips. Thanks so much, as always, and I hope that you put yourself first more. That's the conclusion at the end of the day, and it'll make you happier too. Bye!